Welcome. Thank you for joining me here at Sovereign Soul Insights. We're going to do something new here and do a pick a pile for the full moon that's coming up. I'm recording this from a constellational perspective is what's going to be a full moon in Cancer. A lot of you might be looking at it as in Leo. And I might do a whole thing and introduce because I work with a couple different systems of astrology. So regardless of which of those two energies kind of pings at you, if you feel drawn to be here, trust it, trust yourself. And this is a collective message, so please take what resonates and leave the rest behind. So I decided to just pull the first card for letting you just get a sense of which pile you're going to want. Just, again, trust yourself with the numbers, 1, 2, or 3. If you feel like there's a couple of them calling you in different orders, there may be something in each one. So you just roll with it. And I will see you in the next section. All right, so pile 1. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Let's go ahead and look at what you're releasing this cycle. We've got the Serpent, number 46. Transformation on some level. I am really drawn to the whole idea of the Kundalini energy that comes from this. So that could be part of it for you. However, I'm really drawn to the fact that we are getting ready to wrap up the year of the wood snake. And in February, on the 17th, when we have an eclipse, it will also be the start of the fire horse year. So we're really not in that yet. So it's really cool to see that what you're letting go of is kind of these last layers of whatever the transformation has been for you. So there's still some more to shed. We're going to go ahead and dive into that right now. So let's look at what the old energy is that's really leaving. King of Cups. It's an interesting one to leave behind. This feels like you're leaving behind a person this might represent for you. So they could be fairly Pisces is drawn to me, or that could be their general energy. If you're leaving it behind, I'm getting kind of two things. There's something about just simply the chapter closing, but for some this really does feel like kind of the shadow of the King of Cups, where someone is just too emotionally wrapped up. They don't actually have the balance. I do want to get a clarifier because this is an interesting one to come through. The Page of Swords. Yeah, this person was someone who... Now, this could be an aspect of self for some of you, but it's letting go of the over-emotional state that's causing like a block in growth from a mindset perspective. The page is very new. A lot of sparks of inspiration, but they never actually go deeper. It's still very surface level. So let's look at the root of the issue. And I do want to say as well, before I pull out that next card, if this is an aspect of self, then you're shedding that layer. You are, because you're looking to go deeper. So whether this is because of someone else or you are looking to go way deeper. Now, the root of the issue, 6 of Cups. And it did come out reversed. But this is... I'm actually getting soul connections. And so there are more soul connections for you to tap into. There's something about this energy that didn't feel super close, is what's interesting. Like, even though... It didn't feel like the King of Cups in the light side of the energy. And so there's something about you now getting the opportunity to connect with more of that soul tribe type of person. Okay, so what your higher self wants you to know. The 3 of Cups, you have a lot more community coming in, close-knit community. I love that following the 6 of Cups. It's really confirmation of it's not just that these are soul connections, they're close connections. They're going to be more... I'm noticing my language is very... airy-fairy in a non-judgmental way. So it's like they're not going to be karmic relationships necessarily. They're going to be very light and encouraging. and high frequency relationships. Right, so the energy coming in, you've got a lot coming through. 10 of Cups flew out on its own, I noticed subtly, but then in my hand it was like they didn't want to stay in the deck. The 3 of Swords and the King of Pentacles. And what's funny is when I was shuffling, this card was, it was upright while I was shuffling, which isn't common. And I corrected it to keep going. But this is definitely an important card for you right now. So you have a lot of energy coming your way. What I liked with this being reversed is it was telling me was the outside world. So you're going to be having a lot more external influences that are quite positive and fulfilled. They're going to help calibrate you to more of that fulfilled energy. It's a very, again, community heavy version compared to a single person from the King of Cups. But then we have the 3 of Swords and King of Pentacles. There's something about this dynamic that is going to be a little rough, but you're going to be grounded on the other side of that. If this is internal, if this is an aspect of self, it's kind of looking at that last bit of and coming to terms with the idea of, does the shadow ever really leave us? And I would pose the thought that it really doesn't. It's more about coming to terms with and finding a way to integrate that. And learning how to not be in pain because of that. And letting it overrun and be subconscious. If this is someone else, though, it could be a little bumpy on them going out. So let's get some advice for that. Empathy. So remember to stay... There's a gentleness that's asking to come in with that, too. To still have understanding for that person. You know, the shell that the turtle has. There's still a boundary. There's still some protection for you. But you can come out a little bit to show some empathy as this is happening with the transition. It's not a black and white. It's not very cord cutting type of energy for this leaving you. And I wanted what energy you should sort of hold while with this advice as well. Then we've got the Sailor, new influences and wanderlust. So this is really neat as well. Is it? You're going to hold on to this empathy, and in the meantime, back to that 10 of Cups, you're going to have a lot of new energy coming your way. That's going to be a spark, and it's going to make it easier to slowly let this part of self or this other person go. And I also apologize for the glare. All right, but this is really beautiful for you. It's that last push, that last hurrah before the fire horse here. It's all the preparation so you can go into it. Wanderlust is really sticking out and having more fire energy. It's really neat too because King of Cups is water, and the Sailor, we've got a lot of water and Piscean energy, which I mentioned before. And I keep getting these messages. I almost wonder if I need to do a series that's kind of readings themed elementally, because there's something about water and fire and how different they are, but the way they interact. And that feels like it's valuable for you. So I don't know if that's a way to meditate, the elements you want to meditate with. Water could definitely be a way to release this last bit of shedding. In fact, that definitely resonates again with, if you look at what's happening with the moon from a constellation perspective, true sidereal, it's Cancer, water. But then I mentioned earlier, I'm circling back, the Leo, the fire. Yeah, there's really something about those two elements for you that feels valuable to meditate with. There's an alchemy of how those two interact. All right, that is really cool. Great way to summarize it and kind of come back full circle. I love this for you, Group 1. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. All right, hi, Group 2. We're going to go ahead and dive straight in. This first card is going to look at what you are releasing or letting go in this full moon. The Rattle. This card is letting me know that it has to do with preconceived notions of healing. I'm really drawn to how in shamanic traditions, the rattle is used as sound healing. It's part of, if you might attend certain sound baths or ceremonies, they'll use the rattle to move energy and release it. So you're definitely working on an inner release. Group 1 was kind of doing that. And it's funny tuning in. It felt very personal and private, like this is more about you than it is other people right now. So let's go ahead and get those first cards for you. We're going to look at the old energy sort of influencing this. The moon. We have subconscious energy. So something's resurfaced. Let's look at what. Oh my God, King of Cups. Okay, you're very related to Group 1. King of Cups is what came out in the Light Seers deck for the old energy as well. All right, we're diving in, I feel like, for the people from that last group who this is about as aspect of self. I actually feel like what you're healing are wounds related to your intuition and not being in touch and aware of them. The two birds, the light and the dark, are drawing me to, I mean, it's almost a mirror of the light wolf and the dark wolf. And it's also making me think of the columns from the High Priestess card in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, for those of you that are familiar with it. If not, give a Google High Priestess Tarot card and you'll see the imagery there. So there's really something about duality and trusting yourself and your intuition to see through illusions. That's really cool because Neptune is coming through and is a big topic right now with where it is. And regardless of where you see it is, I mean, everyone's talking about it moving. It did cross the ecliptic. That said, I still keep a pinpoint on typical tropical because there's so many people looking at it. It's going to influence us, or it's at least going to give insight into what those we're interacting with are sort of looking for. And Neptune does have to do with illusions. So there's something about trusting yourself. You're letting go of this idea of perceptions around healing yourself and the need to even heal this wound. The Sleeper, cause and effect and clarity. Are you having some kind of wicked intense dream states? I think a lot of us are right now. Oh, and they look like columns again on the sides. Duality is a big thing for you right now, and whether it's you see it or if you're starting to break past that view and maybe get towards whether you're someone who's looking at unity or more of a law of three approach to the universe, either way, it's like something about duality and breaking past that illusion. You're seeing a lot more complexity in the world. All right, why is this coming up right now? I'm having fun with this one for you. You got a few cards that flew out. The Wheel of Fortune and the Knight of Pentacles. So the Wheel of Fortune, yeah, cycles. You've got more of this pillar light and dark energy. Wow. Are you around some people right now that are very much in the throes of polarity and duality? Because it feels like you breaking the cycle of thinking that around everyone else. Like this is kind of chaotic and spinning. It's almost like a tornado or a twister, and she's standing above it, balanced. And with the dice around her neck, she's not so much worried about luck and just trusts rhythms and cycles. And the Knight of Pentacles is the steadiest knight out of the knights. So again, it's reinforcing you're the steady one right now, making forward progress in this growth and in this journey. So this is resonating for you too. It feels like confirmation for you to, maybe you need to hear it. Like, yes, you are making progress on releasing some of this prior perception. So let's look at what you need to know. The Queen of Swords. This came through for me recently in something as well. Watching your words, not so much because of having a sharp tongue towards others, but I mean, that could be coming through, and if that resonates, no judgment. It's we all go through waves of it where we could probably be a little more gentle. And that actually came through. So if you came over from group one, gentle was a theme with others. But it also is speaking to the reality you create with those words. And right now it's almost like even lessen the words because you're going to have more mind clarity from that. Maybe some time really getting quiet would be valuable right now. So where is this heading? Seven of Pentacles. This is really interesting because this is also planting seeds, but it's further back from the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, because we have another reverse card here, it's not that we're so much shadow. Again, we're asking to actually, now there's some additional work to be done that involves other people, but not trying to, it's not the people you've been around that have that duality. Again, if you came from the last one, actually, they feel very related, almost like we're going to a part two and a little deeper. Let me get one more. Two of Swords. Traditionally, there's a woman who's been blindfolded and she's between the two swords. A note to be cautious about judgment or picking a side from of other people while they're doing some of this, because it's very fiery energy coming your way from other people that are still in that duality mindset, and maybe they're kind of picking up on different things because I think they're the ones that are sowing seeds at a lesser level than you. And it's going to get fiery. So you're going to end up engaging with it probably, and be mindful of how you engage with it. You don't necessarily need to share your piece. When I say that, it's like you don't have to share your 2 cents. Balance. Quite interesting amongst all these cards about duality. Microcosm is at the bottom of that deck. This work is really starting with balancing your inner world. Again, we kind of said mirrors before. As you're working through this almost breakdown of perception, it's about balancing things at the microcosm, because as above, so below. As within, so without. So it's really starting with your pieces right now have to do with working on your one-on-one relationships, the more intimate, that came through before. So this is, even though, I do go back to at the beginning of this reading, I started with, this is a little bit more about you than it is other people. So that's why even if it's going to engage others, it's going to be on this smaller scale. It's not going to be a big stage where this plays out. You might see it direct friendships, direct relationships. It's going to be very one-on-one if it's involving others. And yeah, I go back to, how does this relate to the perception of healing and belief systems around that? Once you get past duality, healing starts to have a different definition and meaning, and you're going to relate to healing very differently. This is a really neat reading. Thank you so much for letting me sit in your energy on this one. And I will see you in the next reading. Take care. All right, pile 3. Glad to be here with you. I'm curious to see what comes through because your energy feels a little different already. The other 2 parts were a little more related. So let's see what you're letting go or leaving behind with this full moon. The curse. Wow. This is an interesting one to touch on, because whether or not you believe in some as what we think of probably, at least in the Western world, as a curse from a lot of media, and storytelling. But it does feel like you had someone who was really negative towards you, kind of projecting a lot of almost ill will your way. I don't think they were trained. This isn't actually someone coming after you in a sense. So not looking to do any fear mongering here for you, but it's more like you just had someone around who was really stewing on you in a very negative manner. But it's because you see so much further than they do. They feel short-sighted. And like they wanted to shut you down. Because it was really just insecurity. You could literally be leaving this person behind, but it also is just, they no longer have that claim on you. Queen of Swords is that old energy. Yeah, you definitely showed up in a way that they were intimidated. Not because you were trying to. You were standing in your own energy. It was their perception that did that. Five of Cups. Yeah, they're not seeing what they do have. It just made them feel lack and less than. Oh my goodness, you got the... Jeez, I'm fumbling here. Queen of Swords again, from another deck. Along with the Eight of Cups and the Five of Wands in reverse. If you walk away, you have the opportunity to avoid a larger energy. It feels like maybe they could want to come in and cause a little bit of a disruption. And so you have the ability to walk away. You feel like you really want to. Like you're not emotionally tied to them anymore. I mean, the Queen of Swords twice. That's quite intense on your part. So what you don't see... Wow, 2 major arcana. You've got the Sun and the Hermit. So it's going to be really beneficial for you, again, to get some solo time right now. That independence from this person. I want to know why. Listen, you're going to have the opportunity to really hear some things you wouldn't before. That quiet is going to, I mean, you have all this clarity, but there's so much more now. Like, there's even more there, but it's very subtle. It's in those subtle, quiet moments. I want to tap into just your energy. I want to get an archetype card. And we've got 2. So we have the Adventurer and we have the Priest. Responsibility and expectations, and then perseverance and faith. Interesting. The Adventurer is an interesting card to get clarified by responsibility. You have the forethought. I mean, again, yeah, you can see the wider picture with these feathers around the eyes. It was bringing like bird's eye view in for me. And we have that here. Birds, they're associated with the air, the element of the air and the clarity. This is really cool because the last... earlier, you know, the other group was all about fire and water. And so for you to have this clarity in the air is really neat. It's even kind of here. Once you get past the fire, look at all the billowing air and smoke. That's the word I wanted. There's something about the energy as the moon cycle is going to wane down. So that might just be simply timing. It might not be the energies of the planets themselves and what they're doing. But if you're intentionally working with this lunar cycle and following it to start to slow down, there's something as you get closer to the end of the cycle, like almost near that dark moon, that will be when you really can listen deeper. There's that call to get quiet, particularly then. It's going to prepare you for the next phase. All right, let's look at what else you need to know. Page of Wands, and it was reversed. So you've got a lot of excitement. It feels like maybe it needs to be drummed up a little more. I want 2. I like that we've got 2 and 2. The Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, I think there's something about working with these cycles. And if you're doing that new this time, keep going. If not, next new moon is your real opportunity. Jump into that. Keep going with what you're doing thus far. But remember, when you're working with the cycles, the new moon is the place to start. That's when you start the process. Four of Wands, celebration. Something good's coming your way. There's something there for you too. I can't pick up on what it is, but it just feels like a little hurrah moment, particularly with other people. This isn't the energy of you being seen per se, it's getting some sort of win with someone else. All right, and so then let's look at what the incoming energy is as you start to get past this full moon. We kind of already touched on it, but I want to get a little more. So funny, Four of Swords came out because when I saw this one at first, I thought it was the Four of Swords. So yeah, you're going to have some restful energy, the opportunity for a little more peace, and protecting your own energy. Apologize about that little ding. I do love the timing though, right as I'm saying protecting your own energy. It's kind of, I think that feels fitting and appropriate. Again, rest. You don't have to respond to every little thing that's going to come your way. That's how you're going to protect your space and your energy levels, even, is what I'm hearing. That feels related to this perseverance and faith thing, is perseverance to protect your energy. I feel like I want, one more for you. Ooh, too many. Cards are going off the screen now. The High Priestess. Your inner knowing and connection. It's going to guide you, so keep tuning in. However you work with your intuition, because you're very connected and knowledgeable. She feels very related to the listen card. There's an energetic listening that's happening too, that you might be picking up in different frequencies. So even if you're not hearing them, you're going to feel them. This is wonderful though, because you're releasing whatever this other person's energy they were throwing at you with, and so you're going to have that peace and connection for yourself and then with spirit, however you look at that. Thank you so much for joining me, because this is a big deal to be going away for you. So own it, claim it, do whatever you need to be doing right now that activates that, and I will see you in the next reading. Thank you. Take care.